ago, I met Mr. Wonderful, and he put a garden in his yard for me, hoping that I would stick around. I figured if he built the garden, I would stay. I left a couple times, but I came back, and you'll see that garden here also. And that was the impetus for this business, because after I built the garden, I thought, ah, this is so cool. We did such a good job collaboratively. Wouldn't it be cool if we could take this on the road and people could, I could start putting in professionally done vegetable gardens, because I'd only done landscape type gardens. And that was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I thought, nah, who'd want such a thing? And then, of course, there was this crash in the economy, and then people were starting to think about food, and things started to make sense, and the timing kind of got a little more right. Then I moved to Little Silver, and some of you know that I had a garden in the front yard on Rumson Road. I've since moved, and that garden is no longer there, but I've got some cool pictures of it. I put that garden in the front yard, which at the time, everybody's getting gardens in the front yard now. People are being arrested, and there's zoning ordinances, and blah, blah, blah. But, so 6 or 7 years ago when I did this, it was like, I'm going to put the garden in the front yard, I don't care what they say. And, I had a couple of people say, don't do that, Wendy. Especially in, Little Silver, very similar to Rumson, very stodgy. Someone's stodgy. Everyone has beautiful carpeting in their front yard. It's called grass. The biggest monocrop in the country. The biggest user of pesticides. And it's, we've got to do away with grass. It has its place, but maybe not so much. Maybe we should start to think about growing food. And when people consult me now about what to put, I always tell them, put something that's edible in your garden. Because why not? Because there's plenty of beautiful plants to grow while putting them in your, in your garden. You can eat them. They're great. The way I also came to talk to you about permaculture today, and 3 years ago I took the permaculture design course, and permaculture, I have a whole thing written about what is permaculture, and I'll read that to you. But prior to that, I always built my vegetable gardens where I'd line everything up, and everything had to stand in order, and I was the boss. I was the boss over nature. And the difference between the way I garden now and how I used to garden, or what I'm evolving into, is that it's controlled chaos. It may look more chaotic. It may not look like what I'm about to show you, but I'm evolving in my gardening practices. And just as I get started, if I can just read this to you, because although I like to be off the cuff, I wanted to write something that can be very comprehensive in understanding, because oftentimes you say permaculture, you say a few things about it, and people are like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So if I tell you up front, and then we start to see examples, then maybe you'll start to get it. The term permaculture, as a systematic method, was first coined by the Australians Bill Mollison and David Holmgren during the 1970s. The word permaculture originally referred to permanent agriculture, but was expanded to stand also for permanent culture, as it is seen that social aspects were integral to truly sustainable system. Inspired by natural farming philosophy, Bill Mollison has described permaculture as a philosophy of working with rather than against nature, of protracted and thoughtful observation rather than premature and thoughtless labor, and of looking at plants and animals and all their functions rather than treating any area as a single project system. So we integrate systems. The primary agenda of the permaculture movement is to assist people to become more self-reliant through the design and development of productive and sustainable gardens and farms. It also offers a whole interconnected web of ideas and solutions that coalesce perfectly with the converging crisis of peak oil and climate change. Permaculture gives us the tools to create and live in a world we want, and to help, and when I say the world we want, rather than the world that is happening to us. Because unless you've been sleeping, a lot of things are falling down and falling apart, and we're in chaos. We're in full-on freaking chaos right now with the state of our economy, the ecology, our state of government, our water, our food, our dirt. So permaculture gives us the tools to create and live in a world we want, and to help heal the one being altered by climate change, population overreach, loss of topsoil, the rapid extinction of species, current conventional agricultural practices, desertification, scarcity of water, government restrictions, the pernicious, I love that word, the pernicious use of GMOs, materialism and overconsumption, that's just to name a few. Permaculture is an ecological design system that helps to connect all aspects of our lives, from the food we eat, the water we use, or the fuel that keeps us warm. Permaculture can help us obtain the necessities for life in ways that work with the earth and promote long-term health of the planet. A good example of this idea of food is food forests, or growing of polyculture, meaning growing more than one type of plant at one time, together, instead of just lining up and like, tomatoes, you live here, and don't even think about interacting with the chrysanthemums that are over there. We're going to start putting things together. It's a way, it's growing more than one crop in any given location. Nature doesn't grow just one plant, especially in rows, in an ecosystem, but a mix of many different plants that all play different roles within that ecosystem. Permaculture is a place where we use the examples of nature to shape, guide, influence, and design the ways we live on Earth. It is a place, the idea, the action, and the inspiration that we need to successfully heal the planet. Permaculture is restoration and stewardship of natural systems that support all life on Earth, and the acceptance that we are part of these systems, not as masters. We're not the masters of the Earth. We're just, biology on the skin of the planet. There are 12 principles which are based on observing nature in permaculture, and I'm not going to get into those now, but there are also 3 ethics that we abide by. And one is care of the earth, meaning that anything that we do in conjunction with the earth, we leave it better. There's equality and justice, so there's care of the earth, care of people, so that we have equality and justice for all, and the idea of fair share, which is taking only what you need and sharing the surplus. So while permaculture can be an approach to anything, it's typically based on agriculture, ecology, incorporating organic practices, agroforestry, integrating farming, and natural building solutions. So that's just a little introduction. All right?